the next time a night happens where people play exclusively to piss off the same person, I'll uninstall the game. Now, get this, that's not a line from some movie script. It's a real message from the organizer of an online racing league sent to his friends right after the final, championship deciding race. So, how does a group of friends, just trying to have some fun, get to that point, the absolute brink of just falling apart? Well, let's dive in. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the story of Wreckfest Cup 14, a story all about chaos, competition, and a community trying to figure out the exact point where fun stops being fun. To really understand that angry message, we have to start with the league itself, a group that was, well, seemingly on the brink. So the heart of this whole thing is a game called Wreckfest. And yeah, the name pretty much says it all. This isn't about perfect racing lines or clean overtakes. It is a full-on demolition derby on wheels, where smashing into your friends isn't just part of the game, it's the entire point. And this league was built to celebrate exactly that. But here's the thing, that blow-up didn't just happen because of one bad night. The fuse was actually lit before the season even started, when this community tried to engineer its own brand of fun by literally writing new rules to create even more chaos. It all kicks off in late December 2024. The league organizer, a guy named Magicorla, comes in with these radical new rule ideas. His mission? Reward pure, unadulterated chaos. But immediately, another key player, Sir Diff, pushes back. He wants to defend what he calls heroic racing. And it took them over a month of back and forth to hammer out some kind of compromise they could even put to a vote. And this just lays out the battle lines perfectly. On one side, you have Magicorla arguing that anyone who races too clean is kind of missing the point and should actually be punished for it. He even wanted to give bonus points to the first person to get wrecked. But Sir Diff's rebuttal was just as sharp. Why would you punish the people hunting down opponents? And why reward the victim instead of, and I love this quote, the true heroes, the ones who do the wrecking? So when it came time to vote, what did the community actually want? Well, the answer was pretty loud and clear. They voted for chaos. They approved a bonus for the first player to be wrecked, they approved bonuses for using objectively terrible junker cars, and they gave a big thumbs up to double points for the final, most brutal race of the season. The only thing they rejected was punishing the fastest driver. The message was sent. This season, chaos was king. All right, so the rules are set, the community has spoken, and this big experiment in engineered fun was about to get very, very real. Welcome to a season of chaos, curses, and some pretty wild competition. And we can actually track the rising tension with this unique tool the league uses called the bestemiometro, which basically translates to a swearometer. And even with the season just getting started, the count was already sitting at a pretty solid 143. The race nights themselves were just as nuts as you'd imagine. I mean, look at this. On April 8th, you've got Sir Diff winning a demolition derby in a giant motorhome, then winning another race in a school bus. And then the final, biggest race of the night was won by a player named Sunny Los Berla, who's driving a sofa. A literal sofa. Just a typical night in the league. But alongside all that intentional chaos, you had these little personal dramas unfolding. One player, named Hart, seemed to be genuinely cursed by technology. After one race, he just posted, "I could hear you guys perfectly, but you couldn't hear me. I must have been kicked and re-entered the group 400 times. And as the season grinded on, you could just feel the pressure mounting. A few weeks later, the swearometer jumped up to 172. That friendly chaos was officially starting to feel a little less friendly. By race night 4, things had escalated even more. We see more wins with completely absurd vehicles, like another motorhome and a battle bus. But the real story here is that final Deathloop race. It was so destructive, so chaotic, that not a single player managed to finish. The race just ended, with no winner. And of course, HR's personal tech nightmare just kept on going. It became a running joke. His next update for the group? I have a problem. Last night, the TV died. It really felt like the universe itself was trying to take him out of the race. So all of this chaos, this frustration, it was a powder keg just waiting for a spark. And that spark finally ignited, which brings us right back to that angry message from the organizer and this razor-thin line between fun and just fury. To really get to the core of this whole conflict, you need to understand this one word, a piece of Italian slang they use all the time, Maya Latte. Magic himself defined it as actions that are aggressive, unfair, or destructive, typical of the spirit of Wreckfest. The problem? Everyone had a slightly different idea of what counted as one of these dirty tricks. And this brings us right to the two opposing views. For Magic, there was this massive difference between tactical chaos and pointless destruction. You want to wreck him at the last corner to steal the win? He said he'd applaud you. You played the game. But what really drove him crazy was seeing people sacrifice their own race for no reason at all, just driving backwards to cause mayhem. But here is the crucial part. Not everyone saw it his way. Another player, Falco, just kind of shrugged it off as a bad night. Sir Diff was way more direct, saying the whole point is to hit hard with the right spirit of revenge. And then there's Hard, our tech-cursed hero, who had maybe the most telling reaction of all. He was so used to having a target on his back, he was actually surprised that it wasn't normal for everybody else. So, after all the drama, the arguments about the rules, the threats to just quit, how did this unbelievably chaotic season finally end? It's time to look at the game behind the game. Okay, here it is, the final championship standings. After 6 full rounds of absolute mayhem, look who's in the top 3. Magic, Falco 7, BG, and Sir Diff, the exact same people who were at the center of that rules debate before the season even started. But the truly amazing part, the beautiful irony of this whole story, the player who felt targeted, who was so frustrated he was ready to uninstall the game, was the league organizer himself, Magic. And despite all of it, he won the entire championship by a tiny margin of just 20 points. You know, this story started with one person's frustration, but it ends with this perfect, ironic twist. And it leaves us with a question that applies to any online game, any team project, really any group of friends trying to have a good time. Where exactly is that line between chaotic fun and just breaking the game for everyone?